Hey y'all, what's good? So recently, I believe last Friday, Kyrie Irving and I believe 79 other NBA players had a virtual town hall discussion where the topic of discussion was whether or not they should return to playing ball. And this is returning to play next month. And Kyrie Irving, who is the vice president of NBA's Player Association, he drew up a lot of attention for saying that he does not think that they should return back to playing next month. And also Dwight Howard joined him as well too. And the reason why he said that was because he believes the current movement that we're seeing, particularly the Black Lives Matter movement that we've seen become re-energized in the past few weeks, he believes that's more important and more pressing than returning to basketball. He thinks that by them returning to basketball right now, it will take eyes off of the important fight that's being fought in America primarily, but even in places around the world as we've seen. And also Dwight Howard joined him in support of not returning. And Dwight Howard was saying that, I would really like to win my first championship, but man, unifying my people, that would be an even bigger feat. So their sentiment is that they don't want people to be focused on the playoffs and who's going to win this and who's going to win that. They don't want that to be the main thing that's going to consume people's minds, and that's honestly a fair point. But there were also a number of voices as well as a number of players that expressed their concerns, or rather they disagreed with what Kyrie Irving and what Dwight Howard had to say. One of the dudes that I want to bring up is current Utah Jazz player Ed Davis, who's also a former Raptor. He was saying that he disagrees with Irving and Howard's stance on not returning because he believes that people like Irving and Howard, they've already made their money. They're pretty much superstars. Well, at least Irving is a superstar still. And it's easy for them to say that, oh, I don't want to return to basketball. But for the majority of the players in the league who are just role players and who haven't really established as much wealth as those guys have, by not returning, it's going to hurt their pockets even more. And Ed Davis brings up himself as an example. And by the way, he's a veteran too. He's not as vulnerable as some of the younger players in the league. But he was saying that, for example, he loses about $30,000 every 2 weeks as a result of COVID-19. He doesn't bring that up to say, oh, woe is me. But his point was that it's actually important for them to continue playing basketball because then they can continue to, make more money. They've lost a lot of money since this pandemic has occurred, right? And his overarching point was that they can then use this money to start creating generational wealth. And he's talking obviously about his black players because as we know, the disparities in economic wealth between black people and let's say white people, the dominant group, it's incredibly massive. So that's honestly a fair point that by not resuming the season, they're losing out on more money that can go into helping out their communities. Another notable objection that I heard to what Kyrie Irving and Dwight Howard said was Stephen Naismith. He was saying that he disagrees with it because racism is not going to go away overnight. This is still going to be an ongoing problem for years to come, unfortunately. And I also agree with that too. And he even brought up the point that we've been dealing with this for the past 400 years in America. He was saying that if we were to use Kyrie Irving's logic, then our forefathers would be unemployed because after all, while they were going to their jobs, there was a lot of racism going on. So I understand what Stephen A. Smith was saying about this as well too. And I do agree. The one question that I have for people that share Kyrie Irving's sentiments is that what are the changes that you want to see being implemented, let's say in America, before the NBA resumes? Is it a set of legislation? Is it perhaps the economic disparities between black people and white people closing in? What does Kyrie Irving need to see before the NBA resumes? Guys, please, by all means, let me know in the comments what you think Kyrie Irving means by his whole sentiments on the NBA not resuming. I do think that the NBA should resume because, for one, if they do not return, there is the possibility that the owners could rip up their collective bargaining agreements, and that could even mean that there's no basketball next season. They could be in a lockout. So these players, they could even lose out on more money that could be going into their communities. And second of all, I don't think that you necessarily have to pick either to fight the good fight or play basketball. I think you can do both. And honestly, if they have basketball continue on, I think that can be used as an advantage because with all that spotlight, they can continue on to do their activism. So I don't necessarily agree with what Dwight Howard and Kyrie Irving said, even though I think that their heart is in the good place and it's kind of noble for them to take that stance. But I would side with the Ed Davises and the Stephen A. Smiths of the world. I think that the NBA should resume. Also, again, the systemic racism issue in America, in North America, or perhaps anywhere in the world where this is an ongoing problem, this stuff is not going to go away overnight. It's going to take a long time. So are they supposed to just not play basketball for the next 5 years? Obviously, I'm sure even Dwight Howard and Kyrie Irving will say no. So yeah, guys, I'd love to hear what you guys think about this. Should the NBA resume? Or should the players perhaps stage like an active protest where they decide not to play and continue to fight in support of the Black Lives Matter movement? Let me know what you guys think, because I'm honestly having trouble even coming up to my own conclusions because there's good points on both sides. But yeah, and as always, thank you again for watching, guys. If you like what you see here and you want to see more, make sure to hit that like button, click on the subscribe button, and click on the bell so you never miss a notification. Peace out, y'all.